try and
Would
do
you
this.
would you like a pen?
I'd just like you to write it down. Because like
That's all right. You've got a pen here. Go ahead. You can write it down if you want.
No, I know what
Do you
it is.
You wanted a pen?
You're the one that keeps forgetting it. I want you to write it down.
From what I remember, you said that how does Allah know that Allah knows?
That what Allah knows is correct.
Yeah, okay. So based on his knowledge.
Okay.
Yes.
The know, okay, is the knowledge. So you can't say Allah knows his knowledge is right based on his knowledge, because that's circular.
What do you mean? Sorry. What do you mean Allah knows his knowledge is right?
It's truthful. It's correct.
Truthful?
Yeah.
Truthful? What do you mean? Okay, right. That's now you've introduced a new term, right?
No, I'm just saying.
No,
How does Allah know that what Allah knows is right?
We're not. Fine.
We're not mincing terms. It's a
No,
really
you
simple
just said a new term, which is truthful, right?
It's not. It's not. If you're just saying that it's right.
Okay,
or not right.
Good. Now I understand your question. Okay. How do you know what Allah knows is truthful?
Not me. How does Allah
Yes,
know?
how does Allah know that what Allah knows is truthful? Yeah. One of Allah's attributes is that He is Al-Haq, which means He is the truthful.
I know what Haq means, but you can't say an attribute explains how a thing happens.
Yes, it can.
Right?
Yes, I can say
that. No,
that.
you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
I could say the universe comes from nothing.
But that's why I told you.
And you'll go, how can the universe come from nothing? You go, well, that's what it means to be a universe. It's to come from nothing.
Was it Robert you said, yeah?
You see, so saying it's an attribute.
I said to you, there's two kinds of attributes, right? There's the intrinsic.
Look, if I asked you how a car worked, right, and how it moves forward, you're like, oh, that's an attribute of the car. I'd be like, Mohammed, Aki, you've told me nothing.
Sorry?
Did you understand what I just said?
Yeah. So,
you would have told me nothing about how a car moves forward. Right?
Okay.
If you're like, well, that's one of the attributes of a car, I'd be like.
So how does Allah's knowledge operate? Yeah, we don't know how it operates, but we know how it doesn't operate. We don't know.
Okay,
yeah, we know. Yeah. So you're asking, how does Allah's knowledge operate?
No, don't ask what I'm asking, because I've said it 5 times.
Your initial inquiry, how does Allah know what Allah? How does Allah know that His knowledge is true? Yeah, or is the truth? And I said that one of His other attributes is that He is the truth. It's Haq.
Circular.
It's not circular because He is Al-Haq. Everything that. So let me ask you a question. Let me put it in a human language for you, right?
You know what a circular argument is.
It's not circular.
That's the worst of circular.
Let me explain.
I'm sorry.
Say for example, if you have a sun, you know the sun, yeah, or a light. Let's say a candle. You say, how does a candle emit light? I say because its essence is light. Yes. So I'm saying to you that what Allah emanates is truth because He is the truth. That's one of His intrinsic attributes.
You realize what a bad explanation that is of why a candle emits light? The candle emits light because of the emission of photons.
Yeah, fine, but that's part of its intrinsic attributes, right?
Atoms.
No, you're going into a naturalistic.
Agreed. Naturalistic word. That's an explanation.
Good. It's a good explanation.
You could actually answer every question ever posed to you. Literally every single question.
But would you agree with me?
That's part of its essence. And I'd be like, gee, Mohammed,
so,
thank you.
For example,
if
you have a son.
So you've told me nothing.
But you're saying, how does it operate? We don't know how it operates.
Okay, but that's the answer.
Yeah, that's
right?
the answer.
So the point is, you have no idea how Allah knows.
Yeah, we don't know how
Allah knows is true.
Why do you believe that? That's a different question.
No, you said you have no idea how it operates.
No. I said the operation of the. Let me explain. For example, we know that Allah has certain attributes. Yeah.
Well, you don't know this, right? Because you don't even know how it works.
Let me explain. Some of the attributes of God are that He's knowledgeable, that He's the truth. Yeah. So by extension, just like the sun is made up of hydrogen and it emits hydrogen, it emits through its rays. Yeah, rays. The sun and the rays. The sun causes
emits radiation.
Yeah.
Not hydrogen.
Okay, fine. But
okay.
No problem.
It emits light.
Yeah, it emits light. Yeah. So how does it emit the light? Because it possesses it in the first place. Yes?
No, that's not why it emits light. But never mind.
Yeah, no problem. But that's the same idea.
Let's just say that you're saying it's an essential property of it.
Yes.
Yes, but that's the circular argument.
But you're asking the question was how does it operate?
No. I mean, the question is very simple. It's how does Allah know that Allah's knowledge is correct, right? And so you're saying we don't know.
No, we're saying that.
No, you just said
we don't know. We don't know how the operation of Allah's knowledge is.
If you don't know.
Yeah.
Why on earth do you?
Yeah, that's the fallacy of
Why on earth-
incredulity.
why
That's the
on
fallacy
earth-
of ignorance. That's
Why
ignorant
on
argument
earth
for
do you
ignorance.
trust it?
That's a
It's
fallacy.
Like, it's like you can say that,
Yeah.
you can make the same argument for a supernaturally,
No, but
omniscient pizza.
but
You
here's
just
the-
say that's an attribute of the pizza.
I
You could
understand.
say the Bible is true because the
No,
Bible is
that's
true.
that's a false analogy.
No, it's exactly that same analogy. You're
say
saying
that
it's
analogy
one
again.
of its attributes.
Wait, hold on.
I'm saying, Mohammed, how does this
No,
work?
no, hold on,
and
hold
you're
on.
like,
hold on.
oh, that's
You
one of
said
its
you just said this is what you said, right? You said you got an omnipotent pizza.
I said, no, I didn't. I said you could make exactly the same argument.
No, you can't.
For anything.
No, you can't.
By saying it's one of its
If
properties.
you say the pizza is omnipotent, that's a contradiction.
That's one
in
of
terms.
its
Now, hold on.
properties.
If you say the pizza is omnipotent, that's
I said omniscient.
omniscient.
actually.
Fine.
I said it's one of its properties.
Whether it's omnipotent or omniscient, if you attach any omni properties to a pizza, that's demonstrably falsifiable.
You don't know that. It's one of its attributes.
No. I can actually disprove that.
You can't actually.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
You can't.
If you say that the pizza
You
has
don't actually deal in disproofs. But the point is this. Let's
no.
Let's get back to the topic.
Sorry. You
The
said
top-
no.
the
Don't run
top-
away from this,
the
please.
top-
You said that the pizza is
I'm
omniscient.
not running away. You've just
Look,
made a
look,
circular argument.
You said the pizza is
for the
omniscient.
foundation of your
How
religion.
can a pizza be omniscient or have any omni
I am
properties?
pointing out the reductio of your response.
A pizza
I say,
cannot
Mohammed,
have any omni
how
properties.
does Allah know that what he knows is correct?
Does a pizza?
And you
Is it
go,
possible in your
it's-
mind?
Let's not talk over each other. So I'll let you finish.
Is it possible in your mind that a pizza can have any omni properties?
It's called a reductio. Do you know
No,
what that
I'm
is?
asking you a simple question,
Do
which
you
is
know-
yes or no.
Do you know
Is-
what a reductio is?
With all due respect, my question is simple. Is it possible in your mind that a pizza can have any omni properties?
It's not the point of the argument.
No.
Right?
I'm asking you a
It's
question.
saying that it could be made. Right?
I'm asking you
It's
one
not a
question. Look,
possibility
with
in
all
my
due
mind
respect,
that a being
I've
that-
answered all your questions.
I'm answering.
Do you want a pen? Do
I'm
you want to write this
answering.
down?
I'm answering.
All right. So let
Okay?
me
I'm
give you a
answering.
pen. Let me give you a pen. Can we write this down for him? Because he needed me to write the question down. Have you got a paper, my friend?
Paper? No.
Has anyone got a paper?
I can't write.
Yeah. Can someone provide a paper for me? I think you might have. No?
No, it's full.
You make a fool of
Yes.
yourself.
No,
So
hold on. Sorry.
Let's save you some
No,
time.
let me
Okay.
write it down for you.
So
all
I
right?
find it.
Is it possible? Yes.
Is,
That a
is
pizza-
not being able to answer my question.
I'm asking you the
is
question.
The correct response
Can
to
have
that to develop a fictitious question.
omni properties. No,
Which
you
you
made the
hope
claim.
I can't answer.
You made the claim.
You're the one making the claim.
Hold on, it's on.
But
It's
you
on.
just
It's
told
on
me that
there.
You don't know how
You
Allah's
just said.
knowledge
You just said
works.
you could say.
I don't care about pizzas.
Hold on,
Your
you
whole
did- you're the
worldview
one
is
who-
based on Allah.
You just
And
said
you just told
pizza.
me that you don't know how his knowledge
So
works.
do you retract what you said?
Does anyone remember him saying
Oh, yeah,
that he
okay,
has no
okay.
idea how Allah's knowledge works?
Okay.
Does
All
anyone
right.
remember that?
Thank you very much.
said?
So you said, and it's on there,
Okay.
that you could say that the pizza has
I
omniscience
said
or
a
omnipotence.
reductio absurdum argument
I'm
could
asking
be
you the question.
that an attribute of a thing is
No,
this.
but you don't understand this. I've written it
I
down for you.
understand it better than you.
Is it good? Is it possible that a pizza can have any omni properties?
It's as possible.
Yes or no?
It's as possible as a being that you have no evidence for existing.
No. Yes or no?
Could
Is
have
it-
those omni
Well, we know a
properties.
pizza exists. Is it possible that a pizza can have any omni properties?
Well, you don't know every kind of pizza that might exist.
No, a
So-
pizza in
so
our
it-
definitional sense of the word, where it's dough
I'm sorry, I'm
with
talking about a
toppings.
different pizza. Different
Margarita,
pizza.
margarita.
No.
Margarita.
Don't limit the pizza. The pizza
Well,
has
no,
99 attributes.
a pizza has
I'm
doesn't have
sorry,
99 attributes.
Do not, excuse me.
So now you're
telling
defining.
me.
So yeah, now the pizza has become God. Yeah.
Oh, exactly.
But
so
no-
that's
no,
the
but-
point.
no-
You can't say it's
So-
just an
so- hold on,
attribute
hold on.
because you're not answering anything.
But hey, with all due respect,
You
you said
understand.
a pizza and you went like this. A pizza.
I said I did not.
What's a pizza?
Okay.
What's a pizza?
I said a reductio of your argument.
Listen.
Right? Do you know what a reductio is?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yeah.
So a reductio of your
yeah,
argument.
but
when I
before you
ask
talk about reductios, I want to ask you a
I
question.
listened to you.
Can you show him
without
that when if we
without
need it? Yeah?
interrupting you.
Please.
I
Yes.
listened
Go
to
ahead.
you without interrupting you. Okay. And I simply asked you.
Yeah. Well, I was the one asking
How,
you.
Why are you interrupting me? I simply asked you, how does Allah know that Allah's knowledge is correct?
We don't know how Allah's knowledge
Don't
operates.
interrupt me. I did not interrupt you. Did a little song and dance.
Go on.
Contain yourself. You can do that?
Yes.
Great.
Go ahead.
Okay. So you asked me, okay, or rather I asked you initially, how does Allah know that Allah's knowledge is correct? You said it's one of his attributes.
Yes.
We agree on that, right? I said saying it's one of his attributes is not answering the how question, right? Agreed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you said, oh, we don't know.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's fine. But you haven't actually explained why then you should trust it if you don't even know how it works.
Okay.
Last thing I'll say, I'll hand over to you. We're going to be civilized here, right? I said a reductio of that argument could be that you could invent any object and say it's just one of its properties.
Yeah, I
right?
understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying to you, have you finished?
Okay, so
Go ahead.
I'm just looking for an answer
Yeah.
to the question
Yeah, okay, good.
of why you would trust Islam.
No, fine. I understand now what you're saying. In terms of howness, when it comes to any of the attributes of God, the Muslim understanding is that we don't know how any of the attributes operationalize on an essential level. We don't know how. But what we do know is, and that's what we say, the Quran says in chapter 42, verse 11, لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٌ وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْبَصِيرُ, that there's nothing like him and that he's the all-seeing, all-hearing. In other words, anything that you can conceptualize in regards to, like, for example, Allah is all-knowing, all-seeing, all-hearing, where we can see, we can hear, but our seeing and our hearing and our knowledge works in a completely different way to the way Allah's seeing, hearing, and knowledge works, which means, for us, the howness, when it comes to any of Allah's attributes, is something we cannot, it's unfathomable, right?
It's beyond human comprehension.
Yes, it's beyond, but the whatness is possible to understand, but the howness,
Well, it's possible to believe,
yes.
but not to understand.
Yes, but
I believe he knows everything.
Yeah, it's
And I
conceptually
believe that everything
conceivable.
he knows
Right.
is right, even though I have
So,
no idea
so
how
I
he
answered
could.
does that answer your question?
No, you've just said we don't.
But
You
no,
just said
that's-
humans can't understand.
Yeah, fine, good.
Right.
But does
And
that,
so my question,
your question,
my,
yeah.
my question then
Yeah,
would be,
yes, sir, yeah.
right? Let's say I'm Lawrence Krauss,
I
right?
don't, yeah, whoever, yeah.
No, let's say I'm Lawrence Krauss.
No
That's
problem.
a guy you know about, right? So Lawrence Krauss doesn't know explicitly how something can come from nothing, right?
Yeah.
Yet he believes it.
Yeah, but it's
But,
yeah. go
okay,
ahead.
so
Yeah, go.
he could just say,
Yeah.
right? Well, it's just beyond our understanding.
Yes, but sorry. Go ahead.
How are you not just?
Here's the difference. The difference is this. He's making a claim which is falsifiable, whereas I'm making a claim which is unfalsifiable. That's the difference.
But that's a bad thing to be doing, right? An
No.
unfalsifiable claim.
No, it's
right?
not bad.
No, it really is. When you say
That's
I have
what you
no
think.
idea how Allah could know that everything is right.
Yes.
Right. I have no understanding of how that could be.
Yes.
All I can say is I believe it.
No. I'm saying, look, here's what I'm
just
saying.
believe it.
Let me explain the difference, if you don't mind.
Krauss says something better than you.
No, he doesn't.
He actually does.
No, let me explain why he doesn't. He's not.
You think he just has a pure faith?
No. Let me
I
explain.
won't interrupt you.
He said that the universe came from nothing. That's not only falsifiable, but it's been falsified.
It's not falsifiable.
Okay, so hold on. If you make the claim that something could come from nothing, yeah, and I can disprove that claim in all of the methods of inquiry that we know how to disprove that claim on.
That's
And-
not a disproof.
No, is it? Hold on.
Epistemically,
Hold
you-
on. Sorry.
Okay.
All due respect, it is a disproof because now what you're saying is you're accepting some epistemological ways of systemizing an answer over others. If I say, look, 0 plus 0 equals 0, that disproves that 0 plus 0 equals 1.
according to a certain formulation of mathematics.
Good.
But that's a formalism.
No, I understand.
That's just
But
according
what-
to a certain epistemology.
Good.
His epistemology is different from yours.
No, but
right?
so he doesn't believe in this.
So a property of nothing is it can beget something.
Yeah,
Just
and-
like a property of Allah
No.
is
There's no proof.
that he's
What's your
all-knowing.
evidence for that?
And you have no basis
No, what's your
for
evidence for
either
that?
of these two claims.
You've just said something.
You have just the belief, though.
No, but what's
That's
your
the
evidence?
difference.
No, what's your evidence for that?
Well, you just told me it's one of his attributes.
No, I'm not talking about Allah.
So I have no evidence. I have as much as you.
No.
Which is just that it's
So,
one of his
but
attributes.
your question was not how do you prove the attribute of knowledge. Your question was relating to a mechanical aspect of that knowledge.
Mechanical aspect.
No, you were asking of the howness. I'm telling you there's a different. You haven't come and asked me the question that you want to ask. You need to ask me in order for me to prove. You've asked me a question that's irrelevant to a proving discourse. Because if you came and asked me, if you don't mind, we're having an interchange. If you came and asked me, how can you prove that Allah is knowledgeable or that has this characteristic of knowledge, then I can provide proofs. But if you ask the other question is, how does Allah know? Yeah, or how does Allah know anything at all? That's a different question. I'm very open with you on the second one. How Allah knows, we say we don't know. How? The mechanics of it, we don't know how. And you can't then say, well, hold on, sorry, if you don't mind. You can't then say, well, that means to say that there's no evidence for it, because that's the fallacy of that's an argument from ignorance. You know that, yeah? It's a fallacy, right? Do you understand this point?
So, yeah, but saying that you have no way of knowing how he could know that what he knows is correct, you have no way of knowing.
No, but that's that.
Right?
Yeah, there's two things you need to separate.
I didn't interrupt you.
Yeah.
That's the bedrock of all of Islam.
No.
It is the attributes of Allah.
Yeah.
Is the
Yeah,
bedrock
but the whatness, not the howness.
of all of Islam.
But the
Okay?
whatness, not the howness, though.
That's the bedrock.
The
Now,
whatness, not the
hang on.
howness.
Agree. I'll do it once more. Let's just get out of our systems, right? That's the bedrock
The
of
what?
all
I'm
of Islam.
joking. I'm joking. Go on.
That's the bedrock of all of Islam, right?
Okay,
That
okay.
basically that Allah has a way of knowing that everything that He knows is haq.
No, but
Right?
here's what.
Is
Yeah,
it true?
okay.
Okay, come on.
Yeah, sorry. Do you
Okay.
want to continue
Okay,
talking?
so the point about
Yeah.
that is, right, that if you don't know how he could ever, that state of affairs could ever be true, right? You have no understanding
How?
how it could be true. It's just an attribute
Yes.
that comes from tradition.
No, it's not just
Right.
that. We can argue it from first principles.
Okay, then let me ask you this simple
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Do you think you could prove that Allah knows everything?
Yes.
Okay. Can I answer that? You don't have enough time because you aren't infinitely, we aren't going to be here forever. And you're going to go, by the way, Robert, that like 12th millionth thing that Allah, I can prove He knows it. You can't.
Oh yeah. I
You just
wouldn't
have
be-
a small
Right.
subset of like, well,
Yes,
He
yes.
predicted some stuff. So you can't actually prove that He knows everything, and you don't
Okay.
know even how He could.
Okay, good.
And so the bedrock of Islam really starts to kind of like,
No, I get what you're saying. Well, here's what I would say to you. There's two things I want to say. First of all, there's a conflation here, if you don't mind me saying, between the epistemological way by which we can find out what things are, A, versus B, the ontological reality of the thing itself, B. And what I'm saying is that just because we don't know how to assess the full ontological reality of a thing, quantum mechanics being an example, like we don't have a theory which kind of combines between micro and macro sciences right now. Well, let me just finish. No, we don't.
we do, but never mind.
Okay, well,
I don't want to
you
distract,
can
but I
bring
get
your,
your
you can
point.
bring your evidence for that. But then we don't have, in the philosophy of science, there's different perspectives. I don't want to go into it. There's fundamentalism,
I'm not much more about
foundationalism.
it than you. Don't worry about it.
You
It's
might
fine.
not.
It's fine.
I don't know. You
Let's-
might do.
let's-
And if you do, you
let's
can
go.
teach me.
The whole point is
Yeah, you
about
can teach
the
me.
ontology is different from
Yeah.
basically.
So
I
the
understand.
whole point is this, is that models and theories, even in the philosophy of science, as you know, more than me, yeah? As you, I'm sure you, are always going to be limited. Do you understand? So that doesn't mean that things don't exist in the real world unless you're an anti-realist, right? What I'm saying is that even if you are an anti-realist from that philosophy of science or an idealist, it doesn't mean to say that you can divide now and say, look, just because X is unknowable is untrue. That's a fallacy. You have to
I didn't
understand
say
that.
it's untrue. I'm just saying, how can you know it's true, which is different.
No,
right?
fine.
If I'd come and said,
No,
if
not
I,
true.
If I'd said,
You said
Mohammed,
how.
Look,
You said
I
how.
can falsify Islam. I've got it. It's over.
Good.
Right? Then you'd have a case.
No, but what I'm
I
saying-
didn't try and
but
do
you were
that.
asking me about the howness,
I'm
right?
asking you how you make the positive case.
But you're asking, yeah.
And your answer to the positive case is, it's just an attribute.
No. You weren't
cannot
asking me about how to
know
make a positive
how
case.
it's operationalized.
You were asking me how it works.
That's the positive case for Islam. Right?
That's not a positive case
the
for
positive
Islam.
case for Islam is that
According to
Allah
you.
has these attributes.
But that's according
right?
to you.
And these attributes are true.
Yeah.
And they define all of reality. Right?
No,
so
not
that's
really.
the basic case.
Here's what we-
right?
can I-
Okay, let me finish.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I did.
Go ahead.
Okay. So
But that's not true.
I asked you how you cashed that out, right? And you said two things. You said the first thing is it's just an attribute. It's just an attribute,
It's
and we must
necessary.
admit we don't know how it's operationalized.
Yes.
And then I said, can you prove that he knows everything? You said yes. Then we found out you couldn't really.
No, you asked me to
But
do it,
you
then
could-
you didn't give me a chance.
Okay. So you actually do think you can prove that Allah knows everything?
Yes.
Okay, great. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. First of all, what you have to define everything. What's your definition of everything?
No, you just said yes. So I'm
No,
just
yeah,
like
no,
handing you the
no, we're having that discussion now. So before, because everything is a thing, right? Or is a series of things. So I'm asking you, what's everything?
I mean, without limitation.
So everything in existence.
You're going to prove to me that Allah knows everything.
Yeah, I know, but
So,
we're having a
yeah.
discussion. I know you seem a little bit uncomfortable
Okay,
right now.
I'm completely comfortable, but
Okay.
let's say there's a fact.
Yes.
All right. Let's imagine that there is a finite number of facts.
Yes.
Let's imagine that there's an infinite number of facts.
Yes.
In all cases,
Yes.
you can prove that Allah knows them all. Right.
Yes.
That's it. Go ahead.
Okay. So my proof is as follows, yeah. My proof that God or Allah is that, first of all, that He is a necessary being and that He knows everything, first requires me to prove that He's a necessary being. And I'll say that they're inextricable things. So if you want me to prove the secondary thing, you have to allow me to prove the first thing. And my proof for showing that He's a necessary being is as follows. Necessary being, in my definition, is that He's the uncaused foundation, or if you like, the uncaused foundation of all things that exist. Yeah? How is that the case? I say that must be attested to for two primary reasons. Number one, there cannot be an infinite regress of causes, and or, number two, there cannot be an infinite regress of dependent things. So
Okay,
because
you're going to make the ontological argument. I know.
not really an ontological, it's more of a contingency argument. But what I was going to say was that because they cannot, because A, you allowed me to, I'm proving, right? Because A, there cannot be an infinite regress of causes, and B, that there cannot be an infinite regress of dependent things. Therefore, there must be a necessary existence. The necessary existence, by definition, is where all the dependent things and all the causes depend upon something else for its existence, which is independent and is self-sufficient. Otherwise, A, there would be an infinite regress of causes, or B, there would be an infinite, there would be an infinite regress of dependent things. So because of the absurdity and impossibility of A and or B,
Okay.
there has to be a necessary existence.
Okay.
So far, are we on the same page?
No.
Okay, can you provide a counter argument?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So that's a basic contingency, but it's an ontological argument, basically, saying
Can
about
be a
that there
can be an
can't be an
ontological.
infinite regress of things.
Okay.
So
And or dependent things. Yeah.
that's been
But,
answered.
sorry, not things. I said can't be an infinite regress. I'm not saying that there can't be an infinite regress of things. I didn't say that. I said two things.
Dependent, though.
I said A, there cannot be an infinite regress of causes, and or B, there cannot be a regress of dependent things, contingent things.
Right.
Yeah. So
okay.
can you defend
Sure.
yourself?
So it depends on what theory of time you have, right? So you can basically have an eternally existing block of time,
Yeah.
right? Where causation is something which is an illusion of the illusion of time, right? That breaks that argument completely.
Not
'Cause
really.
It does.
Because mine's an atemporal argument.
Because the things don't cause each other.
No, I
right?
appreciate
That's illusory, right?
No, but causation doesn't have
Don't
to be.
interrupt me, mate. Not after I've
yeah, okay.
not after I've listened to you
Okay, go ahead.
patiently, right?
All right.
We'll play the game, okay? So that breaks that argument, right?
That's a great argument.
Listen, I heard you say so many things which I think are wrong, right? And I was like, all right, I'm hearing your perspective, all right? So just try and do the same, okay? So basically, without temporal causation, right? You can't have causation when you have blocks of time. That causation is illusory, right? And time makes that illusion appear to us, okay? That's well known in B theory of time, which breaks the causal dependency. The other thing is that you can have basically a circularity, right? So you can basically have a circularity which is just continuing, where you can have time, you can have causal dependencies, but they basically don't infinitely regress because simply they cycle. So you know of like bubble universes, right? And the like. So the notion that you require this being and that you can prove it's the case is broken by A, by an interpretation of time, B, by an interpretation of cosmology, but C, also that you don't know, right? You exist within a universe that you and I will admit to each other we don't really understand the full physics of, right? We don't. You admit that we have, there could be an acausal quantum world that we don't understand how it relates to this one. So to say it's absurd that there can't be something which doesn't depend on another.
No, but what I
when
said-
we both, I'll finish
Yes.
because I'm not going to monologue. But,
Yeah.
but basically, when we've admitted that we don't have a final theory of physics,
Yeah.
to say something about physics is absurd, you know you've hit it.
All right, can I respond to you?
Go ahead.
So when I said and or, it was an important conjunctive element to my argument.
Okay.
Because when I said now that you cannot have an infinite regress of causation and or dependency. Now when I say dependency, what I meant was contingency. And contingency is different to causation. In so much as the definition of contingency is basically reliance, okay? Now, aspects of one thing relying on another thing doesn't actually depend on time whatsoever. There's no way to prove that. Whereas causation... No, hold on. So what I'm saying is, my argument is not a temporal argument. It does not require time to be made. Ontologically, my argument can be made in abstract terms without any reference to time whatsoever. So what you have to disprove is my argument now, specifically the argument about contingency, is that there cannot be an infinite regress of contingent things relying upon other things ad infinitum, without there being an existence of an independent thing through which all other dependent things can depend upon, and that thing depends upon nothing, because that would constitute the foundation for all other dependent things existing.
Yeah.
What you have to show
just
is
said
why.
that.
No, because remember, what I said, what you said, number one was the time element, which I've said to you, it's nothing to do with.
You can't show
My
that
argument.
it'd be time that blocks of time depend on
No,
upon
I don't care
another.
about time.
You can't show.
No, I'm
that
not
one
making
that-
a time-based argument.
It doesn't matter.
Good.
But on any theory of time, you can't show that one moment depends upon another.
I'm not saying moment. I haven't said this.
You said dependency.
But I didn't say moment.
So that dependency
But-
needn't exist. You
Hold
can't
on.
prove that it does
You
exist.
just said moment.
You can't prove
I didn't
that
say-
one thing depends upon another.
Oh, yes, I can prove that actually. Yes.
Go on, then.
All right. So you depend upon your parents for your existence,
Why?
because had your parents not consummated their marriage or whatever it is, you wouldn't exist,
They haven't consummated their marriage.
or
yet.
whatever it may have been.
They haven't consummated their marriage. yet.
So you don't depend upon anything for your existence.
So, no, we're just running your argument.
You
You're
don't
saying-
depend upon anything
You're
for
saying I
existence.
depend on something which happened in the past.
I didn't say anything about past.
You're saying my